All right, Lee, I see your screen. You want to take it away?
Oh, yeah, what to say?
So enthusiastic.
Well, it went up a lot on Friday, didn't it?
Yeah.
And
That
now
was
it's
nutty.
going down.
Yeah, and we really shouldn't be surprised. Nice price trajectory at the top of Friday. On the dailies, look at where we got to on Friday. We got beyond the whole, 61% yada 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 thing, but we met an area. There were some stops around 25 previously, so we've got there. The more interesting view for me is RCY here where my cursor is and YM. RCY has really, I'd say, not gone up as enthusiastically and has hit an area where there was supply around 1820. YM similar, it's bounced back off these levels around 33,600. So we really need to see the others break through those. Will we? Well, short week, NFP on Friday. Lots of poor structure below us on the TPO. I don't think we're going to dramatically head up in the short term, like next 2 hours. I think we may explore a range, maybe even back to whatever 50% area is, 40, 50, that kind of level. Poor high overnight, that's already played out. So the overnight high needs to resolve. But I think it would take a lot for us to shoot much higher than Friday's high right now. How's the calendar? NFP, obviously Friday, which is the weird thing, because very short, overnight session on Friday closes at 8:15 Central. There's no regular trading hours on Friday because of Good Friday, Easter, all that stuff.
Yep. No equity trading, only the futures.
Yeah,
Responding to Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, so the figure will come out at 7:30 Central, 45 minutes for the futures to digest it. That will be that. Then Sunday reopen ahead of Monday. I don't imagine Sunday will be that crazy, but when cash opens, that could be fun on Monday.
So, yeah, well, this is we talked about this briefly last night. It's we have the Friday future session, which, remember, we're a derivative of the equities, which won't be trading. So anything that happens Friday is speculative, and
Sentiment.
then. Yeah, it's totally, just and extremes. And then Sunday will be probably a little bit of the same because, we still don't know what the equities are doing until they open Monday morning. And so Monday ought to be really crazy too. So we have a couple of sessions in a row there that could be really interesting as far as the future.
It would be interesting as well on Monday because, everything from NFP until the cash open on Monday is sentiment, speculation, hedging, but what is going to lead what? Is cash going to react to where futures are positioned, or is cash going to do something else and futures have to catch up? We have no idea, which is what is going to make the period. Well, you've got to be super careful around NFP through to the cash reopen on Monday, or even through probably first couple of hours after regular trading hours on Monday. Yep. Because it has potential to be utter nonsense. So just bear that in mind. Don't get caught out by the calendar.
Can we segue to the hedge fund call real quickly? Because this is right on topic. And then I'll toss it back to you. So we had the hedge fund call. We talked about that really crazy race in Australia. If you missed it, check it out. The Australian Grand Prix was mind-boggling.
Was the Good Friday NFP of Formula One races.
Exactly. Anyway, the whole conversation we had trading related was about Friday, and everybody had. Well, first of all, there's two other things. There's two things in play here. Number one, it's the beginning of the quarter. Also, the beginning of the month is what I meant to say. And so, we just had month end, and that could have been why a little bit of Friday was crazy. And so. It's just an interesting combination of things, and these guys are slinging fairly big chunks of money, and the entire conversation was, how far do you think they can push it if the number's off? So and that's always where these guys go. So let's say there's some sort of surprise one way or the other, it doesn't matter, but NFP is a little bit of a shock to the market. How far could this move? And the identified range is 3,800 to 4,250. So you've got 400 points of ES to work with here. So the hedge fund guys are just salivating. So that's the short conversation.
Look at this on NQ. It looks like there's a UB at 14,000.
Yeah.
So 800 something points away. That's not unrealistic. I mean, if your accounts can cover it, this coming weekend could be an interesting point just to have limit orders sitting at extreme to get filled and hold them.
Yep. It particularly with micros being available, it could get really asymmetric, as we like to say. The extremes could get really crazy. And, it's a really cheap option is what you're doing if you trade it at the extremes. Yeah. Risk is pretty easy to define. So we could get some crazy elasticity was the word the hedge fund guys were throwing around. I thought that was perfect. So, and, obviously NQ is where I'll be playing, but, this is going to play out across all four indexes because none of the equities are trading. The other thing is there's some, this was the second thing on the hedge fund call. There's all kinds of murmurs in the not investment banking, but commercial banking sector that there are small banks in trouble still. And, the next ripple of the SVB thing. So, the word on the street is that that's not over yet. It's just pausing. So that's another very interesting thing, but I don't have any more detail beyond that. It's not like anybody knows something, but everybody seems to be hearing that same chatter. And so that could get interesting yet again if we see some more banks in trouble.
That's the interesting thing about the US banking environment is you have a lot of small, relatively crappy banks.
We do. Anybody can start a bank. It's a really good way to I was going to say to launder money, which it actually is. But yeah, there's a lot of these little tiny regional banks, and the vast majority of them are in the Russell 2000. In other words, they're in RTY. And a lot of them, they just don't have the capital to hold themselves up. And because the Dodd-Frank stuff going away kind of made it easy to commingle money from commercial and investment banking and all the PPP loans. And so anyway, the consensus is just that there are shoes to drop yet that have yet to drop. So I'll leave it at that. And I tend to agree, but that's just an opinion. We all have three of them.
Indeed.
So back to you.
I'm not much else in terms of, the structure for coming into Monday or the week ahead. I've just, out of the corner of my eye, I've expanded the daily. I bet there are lots of chartists getting super excited on the ES chart, looking at this as an inverse head and shoulders. And, it's going to project up from 38.40 to whatever. But of course, it's not at a low. So that's irrelevant. But I'm sure there'll be people drawing lines from where my cursor is down to about here, which kind of then, in a more sensible view of the world says, 40-50 is not a daft area for us to revisit at some point, which is within scope on the ranges and whatever else. But I expect this week, after a run-up like we saw on Friday, there's going to be all sorts of TA pattern, moving average, reversion, chatter nonsense floating around, which will be fun to see and then watch the post-rationalization of.
There's one other thing to keep in mind here that I've said it in the last couple of weeks. The equity funds have a lot of cash and they have nothing to do with it. They don't know what to do with it, is what I mean. And the other thing that's interesting, I posted an article in the surfing group. People are moving money out of banks and there's money market funds. There's some interesting crap going on under the covers in the banking system. And, all the Bitcoin guys are jumping up and down. This is going to make Bitcoin go to 1 million, so we're at another one of those apexes where something is going to kick this off one way or the other or both. So,
and from other stuff I've been reading as well, the positive talk here about, money needs to do something, seems very hopeful compared to reality.
Yeah, it does.
Economic reality.
But put yourself in their position for a minute, and this, we talk about this on the hedge fund call a lot. If you run a long only fund, what the f are you supposed to do? Even if you're reading the market right, you can't just sit in cash. That's not what you get paid to do. So if nothing else, we'll probably see rotations from sector to sector as people try to hunt down safety and potential growth. So
I'd be investing in businesses that specialize in insolvency.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a guy I follow on Twitter, the car dealership guy, and the increase in the percentage of new car loans that have $1,000 or more payments over the last 3 years is mind-boggling.
It's completely insane.
Yeah, it's over 12% now, I think. Hang on real quick. Let me bring that tweet up because I saw this morning, early this morning, and it blew my mind. If you follow me on Twitter, I think I retweeted it. Let me look real quickly where that is. Oh, go ahead and continue, Lee. I'll jump back in as soon as I find it.
Yeah, that puts me under pressure. What else have we got on the calendar? There's a few other figures this week. I mean, we've got today. Well, it's first week of the month. It's going to be there's manufacturing PMI at the top of the hour just coming up. Be aware of that. We have got Tuesday isn't much. The ADP thing on Wednesday. ISM.
There's
PMI.
also. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's also one thing this morning. A lot of people miss this one, the S&P Global PMI number that comes out quarter of, and then we get ISM at the top of the hour this morning. Sometimes, so that takes us up right after the open. So be aware of that. That doesn't show up on a lot of economic calendars.
There's several PMI figures this week. So but given NFP, we're going to explore the edges of ranges and leave them tantalizingly unresolved, unexplored. We're going to set the boundaries this week in preparation for the figure. Then probably through Thursday, we're going to not stall, but we're going to get back into the range. And the figure will then either be total non-event or it's going to push us to an extreme in the range. That's how the week's going to play out. So you've got to be mindful of here's what's ahead. Don't carry any big ideas, certainly about breaks of ranges, because we're assimilating news this week.
Okay, so just to go back and fill in the thing I said I'd go look at, I just posted it in the chat. Quarter 4 for 2022, 15% of new car loans in the United States, payments of higher than $1,000. This is not sustainable. God. Unbelievable. Not sustainable at all. And at the same time, the delinquencies are going up. So this is a massive bubble. This makes the mortgage bubble look small because people don't own houses have car loans, and the people that have car loans that don't own houses are more unstable than the people that own houses and have car loans. So this is a potential catastrophe. Just keep it in mind.
The contrarian thought I can't help but have on that is this is so easy to see and so obvious as opposed to the mortgage crisis in 2008 when most people didn't understand that it was even there, let alone what it was going to do. It feels like then it must not explode right away because it's so obvious that it's going to. I don't know.
What I've read about this, it doesn't have to be massive disaster because the product is relatively small, transportable, has utility, refinanceable. Right. So unlike property, which is expensive and illiquid, vehicles as a commodity are very fungible.
Good point.
So the problem can be massaged away.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps saying. And the question with all of this stuff is if all it's going to take to cause a major disruption is two of these things to happen at the same time. Otherwise, any one thing the economy is managing to swallow. But, let's say we got a bank meltdown and then, all of a sudden some massive numbers of repos of cars and, something could tip it off, some major employer, just be careful. This is a volatile environment. And, we could see, particularly with the time of the year we're at. This was another brief conversation we had. We're kind of coming out of the busiest time, and we're not in the summer yet, but we're on our way there, and volume is starting to dry up again. There's only 200,000 contracts have traded so far this morning. That's nothing. I remember saying 500,000 have traded, 2 weeks ago. So it just, I don't know, my spidey sense, for lack of a better word, it feels like there's a shakeup coming. And I'm not meaning that we're necessarily going to go down, but I think we're going to see a lot more volatility coming soon. This
is reminiscent. This froth is kind of reminiscent of, I want to say, about a year ago or 2 years ago, where we're going up. Okay, we're going up from a lower place, but it's not rational.
Right. Yeah, it's not orderly. That's, this isn't an economy working out its kinks. This is an economy reacting back and forth to events. So, remember what the hedge fund guys were saying for over a year now. It's an event-driven market, and it continues to be. And so it's not, things aren't unwinding. The more things that get wound up, the more it spins. It's just physics. So
it's just preparing us for more and more sudden shocks, which has always been the case since whenever. COVID was an example of that. We can easily get 300, 400, 500 point reactions to something unexpected, but then we go back. But we are in an environment now where any little trigger that's unexpected, another virus, I don't know.
Yeah, that one came up on our call too.
These things can suddenly go bam. We have a little flash for 2 days and then we resume, which is why you've got to manage risk.
Yep. That's really funny you said that about another virus. That came up on our call. And that's something that my buddy, who's not in the hedge fund call group, but the guy who runs the risk hedge fund, the thing with the one number thing, that popped up on their radar last week as well. That there might be there's something going on with, I don't remember. There's another virus in chickens or somewhere that spread to another species.
There's always another one.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Yep. Particularly with birds, and birds being able to move, over borders easily. And so anyway, the world's going to end. It's a party.
Yep.
Party like it's
enjoy it while it lasts.
Enjoy it. Right?
Cool.
So let's see. What else have we not done? Let's see.
TRG calendar?
Yeah. So today we've got the scalper's mindset. And I'm going to show the new point of view and explain what I'm doing with it and why I like it. What do we got tomorrow, JBC?
Tomorrow we've got fishing trip, which I'm going to be taking the helm of the fishing trips this month to give Lee some time to focus on some other things. But I believe he's going to be lurking in the background, watching over my shoulder and slapping my hand when I do something stupid, which I hopefully won't do. So that'll be fun. I haven't done the fishing trips with any regularity in quite some time, so I'm looking forward to that.
Put your waders on.
Yes, and then we've got all the usual stuff. We got the dojo on Wednesday. We've got the Trading the Open.
Trading the Open, yeah. Yep. Wednesdays. By the way, Wednesday's Trading the Open should be really interesting because remember Friday, market equities closed, and we have NFP, and we have economic numbers tomorrow and this morning. So the Wednesday is going to be like the day of the beginning of the long weekend day. Typically on holiday weeks, you'll see if anything interesting is going to happen, it'll happen on the Wednesday. So be aware of that pattern.
The other thing to be aware of as well is Europe has holidays on Monday, which is going to make Monday also interesting.
Yeah, not this Monday, a week from today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it the same? Is it Europe recognizing the same holiday but on a different day, or is it a completely unrelated
Europe
thing?
Has a 4-day weekend.
But I mean, is it a completely? Oh, you do 4 days for Easter. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
How about that? All right. Well, so and then Thursday another fishing
the crucifixion and the rising, whereas you guys only care about the crucifixion.
Right. We're just obsessed with death. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So then another fishing trip on Thursday, and then of course Friday. I guess Jeff, you're
Friday,
thinking
no Dino session.
That's right. That's what's missing. No Dino.
There will be no Dino and no closing session on Friday, obviously, because the equities are closed. I may do an ad hoc. I'm planning on it, but I'm still battling being sick, so I don't know if I'm going to have the energy. But I will post it in the next day or two if I'm going to do it. So
all right. So keep your eyes on the pit. Keep your eyes and ears on the pit for ad hoc, possibly for Friday. It would be crazy fun if that happens. So we'll look forward to hopefully Jeff feeling well enough to do that. And then we're weekend time again. Enjoy it. Rest up, and next week, depending on what all has happened this week and what happened on Friday, next week could start with a bang. So be ready for that.
Monday for sure is going to be the interesting day.
Yeah.
But I'd say Monday cash reopen. That's going to be.
Monday cash is when I think the party really starts, because that's when people that sling reasonable amounts will all be at the table to push it around.
Yep. Cool. All right, gang. I think that's probably it. Unless there's any other last things, we can get ready for the open in 40 minutes.
Somebody asked me privately if I thought this would impact the market. One last comment, and I said, I doubt it, but in the short term, very, very short term, if there's an event, it might. And what I'm talking about is Trump indictment. I guess he's going to surrender Tuesday, tomorrow. I don't know. Wall Street really doesn't. So. Wall Street really doesn't care about Trump, but whatever. So just to answer that question, I was asked it privately.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
All right, gang. Have good trading today. We'll see you at Scalper's Mindset in a few hours.
Cool. All right.
Bye for now.